Welcome everyone. My name is Chandler Rowland. I'm a senior consultant here with Public Impact. Really excited to be joined by a couple of other amazing public impact colleagues, as well as some teachers from North Carolina who are in some of these opportunity culture roles right now. I want to give a quick overview of how we will spend our time together this afternoon. So we're going to start with some welcome, some introductions. We have a couple of resources that we will share with you all through this intro section and things that we will reference throughout our time together. And then you can see the remainder of our time is really going to be spent all learning about what is opportunity culture. And so, if this is your first time hearing about opportunity culture and these positions and roles, we'll give you a nice overview so that you can begin to contextualize some of these roles and what they could mean for you and your professional growth. We'll talk more specifically about those roles, as well as a brief overview of how the selection and hiring process typically goes for our counties across North Carolina with these positions. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do have three really great educators on the line with us today from various districts in North Carolina, and they're currently serving in some of these opportunity culture roles. And so very excited to have their perspective and a Q&A at the end so that you all can actually have an opportunity to ask some questions and hear from the people who are doing this great work. And so I'm going to move us right along with our introductions now, and to tell you just a little bit more about who we are at Public Impact, because we think it is important to share a little bit of our history behind our organization and the Opportunity Culture Initiative as we share and embark on this session together today. So the Public Impact team is comprised of professionals from many, many backgrounds, including former teachers and principals. Overall, our team is essentially a group of researchers, thought leaders, policy experts, tool builders, and on-the-ground consultants. I myself was serving in a classroom role prior to coming to Public Impact. So I was a high school biology teacher in Eastern North Carolina in Nash County. And so on our team, and I know my colleagues will introduce themselves shortly, you'll see that we come from a variety of perspectives, but all really closely tied to education. And so with that, we also want to ensure that you know a little bit about our why. And so our organization is really grounded in the mission that you can see here on the screen. And so as an organization, we strive to provide or to improve, education dramatically for all students, but with a special focus on students whose needs have historically not been well met. And so that includes low-income students, students of color, students with learning differences, those populations that we know have typically been marginalized and left out of the great opportunities that we know that they deserve. And so with this mission, we primarily focus on formulating and helping educators implement bold solutions for kids. So we are not interested in maintaining the status quo for students who we know who have not been provided those educational and life opportunities that they deserve. We're also not interested in this slow incremental change that we know will take too long to have an impact on the future of the students who really need this change now. And so while our organization does a variety of other work in the education field that is aligned to this mission, the Opportunity Culture Initiative is one of our main drivers to help schools create these dramatic improvements for students. I also want to take an opportunity just to highlight our organization's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so here at Public Impact, we take this commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion very seriously, both in our work with you all as educators in school districts, but also for ourselves internally. And so you can see here on the screen a couple of the beliefs that we hold that really guide our commitment to DEI, as well as some of the actions that our team is taking throughout the year to really enhance our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. What I really want to highlight and what's really important with our work with you all is that belief that all students and teachers deserve these opportunities to excel, and that all voices demonstrating these commitments to meeting this goal should be heard. And that really includes your voices today. So we're so excited to have you on the line, particularly to learn more about these opportunity culture roles throughout the great state of North Carolina. I'm also now going to just take a quick opportunity to orient you to the public impact team, who is really closely tied to the work that is happening in North Carolina. And so I had introduced myself earlier. Like I said, my name is Chandler, and I actually have the distinct pleasure of serving as the site lead for the opportunity culture work that happens in Vance County. I know we have lots of Vance County educators on the line today, and even one of our panelists. But you can also see that we have a really great team surrounding the rest of the work happening in North Carolina, through Lexington, Guilford, Halifax, Winston-Salem, Forsyth, Wilson, and then of course Cumberland and Hertford as well. Not all of the colleagues that you see pictured on the screen are here today, but I do have a couple of other folks that are joining us on the public impact side. And so I'm going to quickly turn it over to my colleagues, Erin and Anya, to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Mahegan, and I'm a consultant here with Public Impact. Before joining this team, I served as a school leader and a multi-classroom leader in MCL in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So I'm excited to see all of you all here this evening with us.
Hi everyone, my name is Anya Heckert and I am the site lead for Hertford and Cumberland County Schools. So I have the pleasure of leading our work in 2 sites in North Carolina related to opportunity culture. I'm excited to see some Hertford and Cumberland folks here today. Prior to my work with opportunity culture, I was a high school math and science instructional coach. And previous to that, a high school math teacher in Tennessee and in Maryland.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And now I'm really excited to introduce you all to some opportunity culture educators here in North Carolina. And so they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves and why they decided to be a part of this opportunity culture work. And then, of course, you'll have an opportunity to hear from them throughout our time together through the rest of this evening. So Delmonika, if you would kick us off.
Hello, everyone. I am Delmonika Vick, math teacher at North Edgecombe High School, which is in Edgecombe County. I am a former Reach Associate. Don't tell anybody, but it's the best role in the world. I served here at North as the Reach Associate for 2 years before stepping into my current role as a classroom math teacher. Honestly, when I applied to be a part of Opportunity Culture, I didn't know much about the RA role, to be honest. With the little bit I knew, I just saw the role as an opportunity to learn and grow as a teacher before actually stepping into the actual teacher role. So I can confidently say that I'm a much stronger teacher than I would have been had I not been in the RA role first. It's been an amazing journey going from RA to classroom teacher. So shout out to Opportunity Culture for such a unique opportunity.
Awesome. And Yolande.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm so excited to see so many advanced kind of people on here. I'm Yolande Dixon, and I'm a multi-classroom leader at Principal Street Elementary in the great district of Vance County. I currently work with 6 teachers from K to 5 in the area of reading. Now, this journey began when I was in my 16th year of teaching, and as I was sat on the school design team, I learned of the various roles, and there I saw the opportunity to extend my reach beyond the scope of just my classroom, while pursuing my passion for teaching and learning, as well as helping others. So this encouraged me to apply for the position of the MCL. So you'll hear us say MCL throughout, and that means multi-classroom leader. Over the last 3 years, I've been able to develop positive relationships among teachers and a wider range of students. And I mention relationships because at the heart of this work is a positive relationships that you build. As I have grown professionally, fulfilling the various roles and responsibilities of being an MCL, I have seen great gains with the development of teacher leaders who lead in and out of their classrooms, and students who have become goal-oriented with a mindset that they can achieve anything they put their minds to. So this experience has really taught me the importance of being specific and strategic, ensuring that practices align with the school's vision and mission, and with the understanding that everyone is a valuable asset to the team. Again, like Delmonika said, shout out to Opportunity Culture. With the training and ongoing support that they provide, this model truly equips you with the resources you need to make an impact. And I am grateful for this journey and just look forward to the strides we will make as we continue to learn and grow. Thank you.
Well, I want to be the one who has to follow that, but Paul.
I know, man, way to make it tough. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul Travers, the principal here at Washington Montessori Elementary School and Guilford County Schools. This is my third year here as a principal at Washington, and this is, we're completing our second year with full implementation of the opportunity culture model. I will say that I was able to, prior to becoming principal, I was able to experience a little bit, principal here in Washington, I was able to experience a little bit and learn of opportunity culture, and just the flexibilities and things, and looking at budgeting and positions in a different way. And prior to being an official opportunity culture school, I jumped in midway through my first year here at Washington, and started to implement a bit of that model with our very first multi-classroom leader. And each year we've expanded. So since then, we've expanded that model to where we had 3 multi-classroom leaders the following year. And this year we have 4 multi-classroom leaders. I would say, as a school leader and as a principal navigating the pandemic, I could not imagine doing this without the effective MCLs that we've had in the building, able to provide support to teachers and shift very, very quickly. People who are very knowledgeable and able to dive into a lot of research and support teachers with online instruction, and then to move back to in-person instruction, and really be able to, this year, we look at almost having 3 starts of the school year with the amount of times that students have re-entered the building. And I would say that the MCLs have been, and opportunity culture model has been, I can't place a value on what it has done, and the way that we've been able to continue and maintain a focus on educational effectiveness and excellence throughout the school year. So grateful for opportunity culture and the model and the continual coaching and feedback that we get from opportunity culture.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paul. And to all of our panelists for joining us today in this experience. I know that while myself, Erin, and Anya have tons of great information to share, it will pale in comparison to the reflections and the experiences that our educators will share on the line today. So just want to express that gratitude for you all joining us today. My last little bit of housekeeping is just around a resource that you might find really helpful during our time together. And so we have created a Google document to serve kind of as a parking lot, but also a resource, a quick resource to things like the Opportunity Culture website and the other district websites that are implementing opportunity culture if you want to learn more about the positions that are available in each specific site. And so I'm actually just going to share really quickly, what this Google sheet will look like here. And so I think one of my colleagues has just dropped the link in the chat. You can also access it on that bit.ly, but you'll see here, a place for you to access all of the various websites. And then of course, a place for you to leave any questions that you might have throughout our session today. You're welcome to put your name. You can keep it anonymous if you'd like. And then we will go through not only throughout our session today, but then also afterwards answering those questions. And this will be a follow-up resource that you all will be able to access after our session today. And so with that really wraps up, our introduction and our welcome. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Erin, to give us an introduction into what is opportunity culture.
So I hope that what you're hearing is really resonating with you, and that you're excited to hear more about these opportunities. We are going to start off by watching a short video to give you just a little bit more information about the day in the life of opportunity culture roles.
We were looking for a game changer, and opportunity culture was that game changer.
With opportunity culture, I don't think there's anything better in education right now.
The thing that I love about opportunity culture, it allows me to do 2 of my favorite things, to lead, but also to teach as well.
Being a principal in an opportunity culture school was transformational for my leadership.
Opportunity culture has allowed me to meet every student's needs.
Opportunity culture is changing the culture of the school and providing opportunities, not just for the kids, but for everybody.
All right, and as Chandler said, you're going to have an opportunity to hear from our panelists and ask them questions. That just gives you a little bit more information about the day-to-day. All right, so opportunity culture is a growing initiative across the whole country. Here you can see all the various school districts that we are in across the nation. And here you'll see all the districts that we're located in within North Carolina. Just to remind you, you can access all of these links in the parking lot to the various districts that have opportunity culture roles. So as you all know, many students and teachers face common challenges across different schools. So teachers on the call, you might have experienced this yourself. Teachers often work alone without consistent or relevant support. Excellent teachers have no greater reach than their own classroom. Students lose teachers to district jobs and careers that pay more. And too few students experience excellent teaching consistently. Principals are often stretched with many teachers to guide and support. And that's where opportunity culture comes in. We help solve those problems just by the structures that we put in place within schools. Many of our OC school districts are looking for these excellent teachers to lead these teams. And that's why we're here today and hoping that one of these roles is a good fit for you. Each implementing school designs an opportunity culture that's unique to fit their specific needs and maximize the impact for students. So I'm going to go through the principles that we use to design opportunity culture. Again, this is unique to each school. However, these guiding principles remain the same for all of our schools. So the first principle is to extend the reach of excellent teachers and their teams to more students. This presents a great opportunity for you to continue to do what you love, teach, and work directly with students while having an even greater impact by directly working with more students. Each school creates their own staffing model and schedule. So again, this looks a little bit different at each school, but the same similar concept. The next is to pay teachers more for extending their reach. So we're not just talking a little bit more, but substantial stipends. You'll see that at the end of our presentation and also on the district websites. You'll see that by taking on these roles, you are paid more as well. We want to fund this within regular school budgets. So this is where we get to sustainability, and we want you to know that your position and your funding will continue beyond just that next school year. So we fund these positions within regular school budgets. And then we need to provide you time to do your role. So we provide protected in-school time and clarity about how to use that time to extend your reach to students. And lastly, matched authority and accountability to each person's responsibilities. So again, you're taking on a greater role, you have that matched authority and accountability as a teacher leader in the school building. And I'm going to hand it off now to Anya to tell you a little bit more about the roles, and then we'll head into breakout rooms.
Awesome, thank you. So we talked a lot about these different, what opportunity culture looks like and what the structure is. And lots of people have told you how great it is, but opportunity culture really is nothing without the people who are doing the actual work, who are in these roles, right? And so that's what you all are here to learn more about today, because we know there's lots of school districts that are opportunity culture schools that are looking for great candidates to fill positions at their schools. So I'm going to share a little bit more about three main roles. We're not going to talk about the multi-school leader role today. We're going to be focused on the teacher roles and paraprofessional roles, but we can share more about that if you're interested later on. So the three roles that we're going to really talk about today are first, the multi-classroom leader role. So that is the role that Yolande has. That is the role where someone is leading a team of teachers. Then there's also a team reach teacher role, which is sometimes called an expanded impact teacher. It depends on the district that you're in, and the master team reach teacher role. Those roles are teachers who are excellent teachers who are reaching more students directly. So they are just teaching more students directly. Some have some adult leadership components to their role as well, but mostly that focus of the role is really just on teaching more kids. And then finally, there's the Reach Associate role, which is sometimes called the RA role. And that is a paraprofessional role. And that is a role where you have instructional experience. You are able to work directly with children in an instructional capacity, but you're doing that in support usually of a larger team. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of each of these roles in a second. And after I give this quick overview of the roles, you're going to actually choose a breakout room based on the role that you're most interested in. So make sure that you're listening carefully to the 3 different options, and then we're going to open up the breakout rooms and actually give a little bit more context to the specific roles that you're most interested in. One note there, if you pick a room and it's the wrong room and you want to switch, no worries, we can move you around. But that way everybody hopefully gets more information and more time to ask questions. So which breakout room is best for me? So I'm going to share a little bit more about each of these roles. The first one is the Reach Associate role. This role might be a good fit if you are an experienced teacher assistant who wants to expand or impact more students through their role. It might also be somebody who's an aspiring teacher who isn't certified yet and wants more classroom experience before they take on a full teaching role. So maybe someone who is going to school for teaching and is interested in doing a paraprofessional role on the side to get more classroom experience. This is an advanced teaching assistant role. So this is a role that is really instructionally focused. We want people who are really good at working with kids directly and who want to be able to learn more strategies to lead the classroom themselves. The Team Reach Teacher role, which is also called the TRT or the Expanded Impact Teacher, and the Master Team Reach Teacher position, those are for folks who want to extend their reach to more students in the classroom. So they're really interested in just teaching more kids directly. This position really focuses on student reach, and it doesn't extend to additional leadership opportunities other than the Master Team Reach teacher who might take on a couple of additional adult leadership responsibilities. Despite the varying names of the roles, the overall purpose is really the same, which is that you're part of a teaching team that's led by a proven excellent teacher, and you want to impact more students directly with your great teaching. And then finally, the multi-classroom leader role is a good fit for teachers who have adult leadership capabilities and a history of high student growth outcomes. If you're a person who's a PLC lead or a department chair or a grade level chair, a coach, someone who is really interested in impacting others and still staying close to students and being able to teach directly, this might be a really great fit for you. One note is you don't have to have had any of those roles in order to be an MCL. We're really looking for people who have really strong results with students and have the capability to lead others and the willingness to lead their peers. So hope that gave you a little bit of an overview of the 3 different roles that we have information on today. Each of the districts that we've shared have positions for these various roles. So you might see different names in different places, but they all have these 3 roles. And so we're really excited for you to have the opportunity to learn more about those and see which one might be the best fit for you.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Never enough time in breakout rooms, particularly with our panelists. So sorry for pulling you out of that room and those great conversations, but we did want to go ahead and give a little bit of information around, what can I expect in terms of the hiring process for some of these roles across North Carolina. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time just kind of giving an overview of what that process looks like, and then we'll spend our last 10 minutes here together with some additional questions with the fellows that we have on the line. So when you think about the opportunity culture application process, it'll of course look different from district to district, but in general, most of our opportunity culture sites in North Carolina follow a very similar pattern. And so what that will look like is typically applying at the district level. And so submitting all of your application materials like your resume, student data, any evaluations, recommendations, all of those things essentially, for that initial application round. So you'll submit that to the district, and the district will do essentially a screening of all of the various applications that they receive to essentially go ahead and determine which are the candidates that meet our criteria for these roles, and then opening up that list of candidates who meets that criteria to the schools and to the principals who are actually hiring for these positions. So you can see here on the screen, you'll do that initial district application process. There's usually an interview at the district level, to ensure that you're meeting all of those criteria and competencies that the district is screening for. If you make it out of the district interview process, then you will be eligible to be interviewed at the school level. And so schools have tons of autonomy in terms of how they structure their interview process for the candidates that they're looking for. So it could be an additional application, it could be just a traditional panel interview, it could be a skills demonstration. But once you make it out of that district pool, you are then eligible to be contacted by schools, and then schools will conduct their interviews and then make offer letters, to the folks that they would like to hire into these positions. You also heard Anya mention a little earlier, I think Anya and Aaron, the stipend amounts for these opportunity culture roles that we have across North Carolina. So just as a reminder, educators in these opportunity culture roles are compensated for reaching more students and teachers. And as you can see, this really aligns with that second principle that we had mentioned earlier today, all around paying teachers more for extending their reach. In general, the stipend level that you see for the district that you're applying for or that individual role is typically added to the district base teacher pay. So each district is going to have their own career ladder, their own specific stipends for their roles. And so we definitely encourage you all to go to those district websites that we have linked in our parking lot document to learn more about what those actual stipend levels look like, as well as that application process. And then before we turn it over to our panelists for final questions, we did want to talk about the support that opportunity culture teachers receive from Public Impact throughout the school year, particularly as they are launching into these roles. And so if you're selected for an opportunity culture role, you're going to receive continuous support that will really start in the summer with our 3-day virtual training with opportunity culture educators from across the country. This will give you an opportunity to really learn all those tips and tricks and skills that you are going to need for your role. And then we also do year-long professional development sessions with folks that are in similar roles as you are, as well as some on-the-job development, providing feedback to your school, implementing opportunity culture throughout the school year. And then just as a reminder, of course, we've got opportunities throughout North Carolina. So here in the Piedmont, you can see the districts that are hiring for opportunity culture roles from Guilford, Winston-Salem, Forsyth, Lexington, Cabarrus, as well as CMS. And then all of their websites are linked in that document that we shared at the beginning of our time together. And then, of course, our opportunities here in Eastern North Carolina, ranging from Vance, EPS, to Wilson. We've got Hertford, Halifax, as well as Cumberland County Schools. And so once again, would encourage you all to check out those individual websites for those unique application requirements and deadlines. And so with that, we've got about 9 minutes left in our time together this afternoon. And so would love to hold that for final Q&A with the Opportunity Culture Fellows that we have on the line. So if you have a question for Yolande, for Paul, or for Delmonika, would definitely love for you all to throw that into the chat or to come off of mute. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up for some questions.
There's a question in the chat, Chandler, about dates for the 3 days.
Awesome. Yep, so it looks like, yeah, so there are multiple dates for the professional learning sessions that will happen throughout the summer. And so once you are hired into those opportunity culture roles, your district will share our registration link with you, and then you'll be prompted to select the training dates that work well for your schedule. So the training will be the same throughout the entire summer. And so, if you attend our session in early June or the session in early July, you'll get that same content no matter what time during the summer you choose to attend. I'm wondering maybe Yolande or Delmonika, if you could speak a little bit to what the application process was like for you, or just anything as you were thinking about getting into one of these opportunity culture roles, what that experience with applying or interviewing for one of these roles was like.
Right, as I explained in the breakout room, when the opportunity came up with several schools needed MCLs and various roles, and I was interested in the MCL role. So as you mentioned earlier, you get your resume together. They definitely look at student data. So what they needed was like data over 3 years, at least 3 years, and your recommendations as well. So you gather all that, you ready for an interview. Now with Vance County Schools, and when I did it 3 years ago, as Chandra said earlier, we interviewed at the district office, and there you have several principals along with district representatives, and you were asked a few questions. And that was somewhat of a different kind of interview, I would say. It's more so you selling yourself, you telling why you want this role and why you would fit this role. So that was kind of different. And if I may say, we were given like time to think. So I thought that was beautiful too. So you were given time to think about your question and then respond. So that was different. And with that, a few days you get follow up. And what I received was I had 4 principals who reached out to me and were interested in following up for an interview. Back then we had the option to say, yes or no so. And because I was somewhat biased, I had been working at Kingston forever. That's my home. So that was just my first preference. But like I said, I had 3 other principals who had reached out, and, I did not necessarily do the interview then. And there were quite a few of us in the pool back then too. So they had multiple options to choose from. And because I had chosen Kingston, then that was kind of easier for me. So I'm not sure about interviewing with other schools. I just kind of interviewed with Kingston, and that was it.
Thank you so much. We have a question in the chat about the hiring process for the RA position.
Great question. So for me, the hiring process pretty much consisted of me meeting with, it was the math MCL at the time and the assistant principal and the principal of the school that I work at. And very similar to what Yolande stated, I was asked questions, but it's not that they were necessarily easy questions, but it was a different type of interview. I was more so asked questions about my background, my experience. I was told about the role and pretty much asked what I would do in different scenarios that were related to the RA role. Because realistically, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't know much about the role, y'all. So I went into it knowing a little bit, knowing enough to be interested, but so the interview was a great opportunity for me to find out about the role, for them to ask me questions. And then the actual hiring process from that point was pretty seamless. And I think much like any other job, you're asked for certain, and of course they had my resume, but you're asked to complete certain pieces of paperwork and, they follow up with you and that kind of thing. But yeah, that was pretty much what the hiring process was like for the RA position.
Thank you. We have another question. What kind of support is offered throughout the year? What are some of the sessions for summer training, curriculum-based, instructional-based, etc.?
I can speak to a little bit of that if you don't mind. So I think in Guilford County, we have different tracks. So we have different MCLs or different OC roles with different levels of experience. And depending on the level of experience in their role, there is I want to say they probably meet 4 times a year based off of the different level of OC role that they are in. There is also a summer training I want to say it's around 3 to 4 days of summer training that they go through. But I also think one of the biggest things in the OC role, which is most important, is that weekly meeting, one-on-ones with the principal and the MCL or the EIT. I think that's where that ongoing training, that ongoing coaching happens consistently. And so that's something that, we here in Washington, and it sounds like I see some headlines at different locations that you have opportunity to do, is that there's ongoing training happening one-on-one with that coach, or with the administrator, or whoever's assigned to coach that MCL. And then the district will provide support based off curriculum that our coaches, our MCLs, or within the OC role, they get a chance to endeavor in. But that's kind of how it works here at Washington and in Guilford County.
Yeah, and I can speak just more generally to, what supports look like throughout the year. And so for the summer professional learning, those topics are varied based on role. And so for MCLs, you can imagine lots of content focused on adult leadership, coaching, developing your coaching vision, actually helping you all figure out how to identify action steps, and then work with teachers in implementing those action steps. For our Reach Associates, topics can range from things like culturally responsive teaching, as well as creating successful classroom environments, all the way to developing your professional goals as a Reach Associate. And then similarly for our expanded impact teachers and TRTs, thinking about focusing and serving on those larger groups of students. So how do you adjust your teaching practice to take on those larger instructional loads, or to really systematize and streamline things like data analysis and other teaching responsibilities. We'll also offer professional development throughout the school year, based on a variety of different topics. So for MCLs, TRTs, Reach Associates, and principals, some of those topics are a continuation from the learning that happens over the summer, and some of them are brand new topics, based on things like other instructional practices, instructional strategies, culturally responsive teaching, and things like that. The last support that I'll mention is that the public impact team will typically facilitate meetings to campuses, sometimes virtually, sometimes in person. Obviously, they're all virtual right now because of COVID, but those are called feedback rounds, and that's essentially where it would give us an insight into how your school is operating day to day, and then provide the public impact team an opportunity to provide you all with some feedback on ways that we think you could make your implementation of the opportunity culture model even stronger. I'm happy to follow up more with folks individually if they'd like to learn a little bit more specifics around those topics of what professional learning looks like. If you should need anything else from this team, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to help. So thank you all so much.